Hi, in this video I want to talk about PHPStan. It is a tool that allows you to scan your project and find different bugs and errors or possible code smells. In our project, in our company, we use PHPStan and we also use it at the max level, at level 10. It catches the most amount of errors. We also have it customized by disabling a few rules that we saw are too much for us because we have some legacy code where it is hard to refactor, and we decided to opt out from a few rules. Basically, you can customize the whole PHPStan program to fit your needs. And in this video, I want to go through all the different levels and talk about what they add, what kind of checking they start to do. And I hope that helps you to decide at which level you want to start out. In general, it is best to start level by level and basically get your code up to the highest standard, but maybe going to like level 7 or 8 is good enough for you. Well, it depends on different situations and your work environment. If you are in a very strict project and you want to catch the most amount of errors and you're not that concerned about the speed of development, then sure, going at level 10 is the best idea. Though, let's see what every single level does. So at level 0, PHPStan acts like a compiler because it does basic checks, unknown classes, unknown functions, unknown method calls on this, wrong number of arguments passed to those methods and functions, always undefined variables. So PHP is a not compilable language, and PHPStan acts like somewhat of a compiler. It goes through all your code and sees if you have used a class that maybe is deleted or you mistyped it, and it catches errors like these that will definitely break your application, and you do not want that. So that's a very good idea to have at least level 0 scan through your project. It might help you find some problems. On level 1, what it checks, it does possibly undefined variables, unknown magic methods and properties on classes with call and get. If you're using these methods and you're calling methods that are not available, PHPStan in level 1 can also catch that. On level 2, unknown methods checked on all expressions, not just this, and also validating PHP docs. So if you have problems in your PHP docs on level 2, PHPStan will start to report them. Now in level 3, you start having return types and types assigned to properties. So basically you have functions, and it becomes mandatory to add a return type on your functions if you are using PHPStan. PHP basically allows you to not have any types anywhere. Though in recent years there's a bigger push on having types and being quite strict about them. If you look at the code of Symfony and Laravel, basically in the last several years, they started rewriting all the code with type hints, and this has become the industry standard. So I definitely recommend you to have return types, but maybe, for example, you have a project that is legacy code, maybe it is PHP 5, and yeah, you just don't want to do all that refactoring. So in that case, leaving at level 2 might be a good idea. But if you have a newer PHP, and your project is up to date, then let's keep going. And I definitely recommend to have return types. On level 4, PHPStan checks for basic dead code that is always false, instance of another type checks. Basically, if you have, let's say you have here a function and that always returns a datetime object, and there's a syntax error, and this function does not exist, and AI is suggesting me something. So basically, if you are always returning datetime and then you do a check if this is a datetime object, basically this check is redundant and you will get a PHPStan error. So that starts with level 4. And dead else branches, unreachable code after return, etc. So basically level 4 adds a lot of code cleanliness checks, basically allowing you to find code that maybe is hard to read. Maybe you have some very complex functions and you have if and else statements that cannot be reached. Then maybe it is a very complex function and you don't really understand, can it be reached, can it not be reached, and PHPStan helps with that. Also unreachable code after a return statement. This is also more like a code smell. It will not generate you an error, but if you have a return statement higher in the function and the other code is not reachable, maybe you're thinking wrong about your function, and it can help you to detect these kinds of bugs. So overall, level 4 is like a sanity check. On level 5, PHPStan starts to check types of arguments passed to methods and functions. So on level 3, it's only checking return types on functions. And over here you already have when you are providing arguments to methods and functions. So yeah, if you want to run a modern PHP application, you definitely want to have types everywhere and you want to be using them. So I definitely recommend to go to level 5. On level 6, report missing type hints. On level 6, it starts to check your arrays. Basically, if you have not type hinted your arrays correctly, or if you have hinted them incorrectly, you will start getting errors because in general, you don't know what's in an array. So you need to type hint it with a comment, basically the PHP doc. So at level 6, it becomes kind of hard, I guess. But from my experience, there's definitely a good amount of errors that come from having arrays and having different parameters in your array and not having a clear shape and not knowing what is available in that array. In level 7, PHPStan starts to report partially wrong union types. If you call a method that only exists on some types in a union type, level 7 starts to report that. Other possibly incorrect situations. So union types were introduced in PHP 8. Basically, you can then do functions like this. Where is that? Can't find that button. Okay, so int, and you can do a union type string. So you will know that you will be providing an int and a string in this variable, either or basically. And PHPStan can start scan these and see if maybe you are providing a double into this function and it will throw an error because, well, you have not specified that. So that's available in level 7. In level 8, report calling methods and accessing properties on nullable types. Basically, I have this quick example over here. So we have a function that can return datetime or null. And let's say if we call this function and we think that we will always get a datetime object over here, and we try to echo the format of the datetime. This will be a PHPStan error, because what if you will get a null over here and you will try to call the format function? Well, this will be an error. So you will need to do something like if datetime is not null, or if datetime instance of datetime, or doing an assert that datetime is instance of datetime, etc. Something like that. And then you can, after doing this sanity check, you can do echo datetime format, because then you know that you have gotten a datetime object over here. So that starts with level 8. In level 9, be strict about explicit mixed type. The only allowed operation you can do with it is to pass it to another mixed. And in level 10, be even more strict about the mixed type. Reports errors even for implicit mixed missing type, not just explicit mixed. So in PHP you can also have over here a mixed type similar to JavaScript, which is basically a type of any. This is mostly, I guess, used in refactoring legacy applications, where you know that you aren't sure what kind of variable you will get, and it's not a very good practice to use it. So in PHPStan level 9 and 10, basically you can only be passing it to another function, and basically it does not let you to use it anymore, which you kinda shouldn't anyways. So these are the whole 10 levels. Basically, the higher the level you use, and the more troublesome code PHPStan will be able to detect. There's also this thingy. If level 10 is not enough, you can use PHPStan strict rules extension. I'm not sure what it does. It probably adds a little like level 11, I guess, but it's not really specified what kind of other checks it starts doing. Overall, I definitely recommend to at least use PHPStan at level 0 to find exact errors in your code. And if you want to use types and use a modern application in PHPStan, you can definitely go to level 6. Level 7 doesn't really cause a lot of problems, but basically it's only after you have PHP 8, which is the brand spanking new PHP. And in a lot of companies, I guess, if you are working with legacy code, it's not really applicable to you. But yeah, if you're running a brand spanking new application with PHP, then going to level 10 is maybe a goal that you should not start with, because if you have a huge code base and you install PHPStan and run it at level 10, you might get like 10,000 errors. That happened to us in our company because we had a huge code base that was developed by us, and we started using it after like 2 or 3 years of developing the application, and we had a huge mess, and basically trying to refactor and fix all the errors would be impossible. So we have a baseline file where we took all the errors and we said, yeah, okay, we know about them, only check the new ones. And if we are refactoring old code, we then fix those old errors. But that is not applicable to level 0. If you have level 0 errors, you should always fix them for the whole project, because these are very critical. So yeah, and if you are coding like a hobby project, I probably would not recommend to do PHPStan level 10. It is kind of troublesome, and it drains the joy out of coding because you need to be very strict. It sometimes is kind of annoying, and it becomes very slow to develop. If you're just doing hobby projects and you want to be quick, then yeah, level 5 or 6 is definitely enough. That's it about PHPStan. Hope this video was helpful, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If I made a mistake, then definitely point it out, and I'll see you in the next video.